let's cover some common questions and what you can do naturally to help with resistant hypertension. Resistant hypertension is a major problem because what this essentially means is your hypertension or high blood pressure is so bad that the doctor has already tried to give you 3 different medications of 3 different classifications, one including a diuretic, and your blood pressure still doesn't go down. In fact, they may have to give you 4, 5, or 6 different medications to try to keep your blood pressure under control. Now, the underlying reason why many people have this resistant hypertension or resistant high blood pressure is because they may have sleep apnea. They may be taking medications that are interfering with their blood pressure medications without actually knowing it and stopping the effectiveness of the blood pressure medications. Some people have kidney disease. Some people have stenosis of arteries. That's a narrowing of the artery in the kidney that can cause hypertension. Some people have hormonal problems that is affecting the sodium and potassium balance and the hydration in their body such that they cannot control their high blood pressure. And so get a pen handy, get a piece of paper, and you can take notes, because this is a good video, because I'm going to teach you everything that is possible that you can do possibly yourself, and some other questions that many people have. And just so you know, my name is Dr. Story. I've been a doctor of chiropractic for over 27 years. I'm going to give you realistic advice and stuff that you can use, and this is all based on my experience as well as the scientific literature. So there's nothing that's real crazy, nothing out of the ordinary in regard to this, but it will be effective if you work with your doctor and try to get this problem under control. So firstly, let's talk about some very simple things that you can do at home that would help your blood pressure. Number 1 is stop eating so many salty foods and alcohol. Now, there are people where salt does not affect their blood pressure. However, if you have resistant high blood pressure, chances are your body is so unhealthy that salt is going to have an effect on your blood pressure. So you want to definitely limit the amount of salt and alcohol. Number 2, stop taking NSAIDs for pain. Did you know that certain medications like NSAIDs can interfere with your blood pressure medications? I've made many videos in regard to this, and if you use the search function, which is on top of my channel, you can look at other videos in regard to that. But ultimately, if you're in pain, you got to find a natural solution to solving the pain and stop taking NSAIDs, because it's destroying your kidneys. There's many things. There's acupuncture, there's chiropractic, there's exercise, there's stretching. Find something, find a good doctor, possibly a holistic doctor that can help you to reduce your pain so that you don't have to take these medications. Number 3 is getting at least 30 minutes of cardiovascular exercise every single day. And we're going to discuss this later on in the video, because there's this misconception that exercise causes the heart to beat faster and thus that's bad for it. The actual opposite is true. Exercise is good for it, but only certain types of exercise. So cardiovascular, where you raise your heart rate up to a certain level and maintain it for a period of time, is the most important exercise, and we'll cover that in just a moment. The 4th and final thing that you can do is you can get your sleep apnea under control. Many people have sleep apnea, and that essentially destroys their cardiovascular system. It's like a slow trickling death, and so you need to get that under control. You can talk to your doctor about that. Another thing that you can do that many people find effective that have sleep apnea is to sleep at an incline. So you can get in these things, you can get them on Amazon actually, and I'll put a link down below because I'm an Amazon affiliate, but you can get it wherever you want, I don't really care. But there's these things where you can raise the head of your bed by about 3 or 4 inches, up to 6 inches, and because of that angle, it does help some people with sleep apnea. And so the better sleep that you get, the better health you're going to be in, and thus lowering your blood pressure. So let's cover some questions that I have seen on other videos of mine in regard to blood pressure. So I'm going to pull some up. One here is resistant hypertension serious? The answer is absolutely. When you think about it, your doctor, your primary care doctor, is trying to lower your blood pressure and is just throwing everything at you from different medications that work differently. you're already on 4 different medications and your blood pressure is still not hitting target levels. It is very serious, because the higher your blood pressure is, the higher risk you are of having a heart attack or a stroke or damaging your kidneys. And if you want to see people that are not healthy, go to a dialysis center. There's very few healthy people in those places, because when your kidneys fail, boy, you're screwed. So let's go to another question. Can resistant hypertension be treated with exercise? The answer is it does help patients with hypertension. It is something you have to continue to do every single day. The effects of exercise, if you do it every day, are cumulative, meaning over time you will get more and more benefit from exercise. But even in a short period of time, just on a day, by doing cardiovascular exercise, and I'll explain that in detail in just a moment, you can actually lower your blood pressure, and the effects last about 24 hours. So it's something you have to repeat every day, just like your blood pressure medication. Let's face it, your blood pressure medication doesn't cure you, it just simply lowers your blood pressure. But you have to take the blood pressure medications every single day, because they only last for so long. It's the same thing with exercise, but exercise doesn't have the negative effects that some medications do have. So when you do exercise, you definitely don't want to do high intensity interval training. You definitely don't want to do aggressive weightlifting. And the reason why is because when you exercise so hard, your systolic numbers, the first number of the blood pressure number, can go up significantly, very acutely. And this, for some people, can be very, very dangerous. That's why cardiovascular exercise is much safer, especially for someone who has resistant hypertension, because what you're doing is you're slowly building up your heart rate and your blood pressure, and you're maintaining it for a period of time. And the benefit of this is that it strengthens your heart and it strengthens your blood vessels. It also will help stimulate inside the blood vessels a gas called nitric oxide, and this nitric oxide will help dilate and relax the blood vessels. This is of benefit because this is exactly the mechanism by which blood pressure goes down. So the answer is yes, exercise is one treatment, one aspect of treatment for resistant hypertension. Dear Dr. Story, I have blood pressure problems. My doctor says it's resistant hypertension. Even if I take my medication, what could possibly be the problems? Well, there's a number of problems that it could be. However, from a drug perspective, your doctor may have already told you this, and some people don't hear it, but certain medications interfere with blood pressure medications. Everyone knows that magnesium might help with blood pressure as well as other functions of the body. Now, the RDA of magnesium is 400 milligrams per day. That equates to 8 avocados, 5 ounces of cashews, 12 bananas, or 3 cups of spinach. Now, if you eat that, that's great. But of course, I'm going to say take a magnesium supplement because a magnesium supplement company is sponsoring the video. But you do you. Take whatever floats your boat. I like Magnesium Breakthrough because it has 7 different types of magnesium. It helps me sleep, it helps my blood pressure, and it helps me maintain a healthy cardiovascular system. I will put a link down below for the Magnesium Breakthrough that I take. That will be down in the description. I'll also pin it in the comments. If you want to hit the link, you can see if it's a product that you would like to pursue. So NSAIDs interfere with blood pressure medications, nasal decongestants, cold medications. These are a lot of things that we don't think of because they're over-the-counter medications. But if you're taking all these blood pressure medications trying to lower your blood pressure, and then you have some symptoms of a cold, so you just take some pills for that, you may not realize that your blood pressure medications don't work because of that. So be aware, always read the labels. Can stress cause resistant high blood pressure? The answer is it's not really a cause, but it can contribute to having high blood pressure. Stress has been shown to contribute acutely to high blood pressure in the general population. So if you have resistant hypertension, then you're just adding another nail to the coffin in my experience, that it doesn't help. So if you have a lot of stress, if you have things that are troubling you, you got to get a handle on it. And this is, I'm no psychiatrist, of course, so go see a psychiatrist or a psychologist and get help. But I have personally found in my own life that just letting things go is one of the most important things that have helped me reduce stress in my life. So people will stress over every little thing, watching the news, watching politics. There's a million reasons why you should be stressed. And what I've discovered in at least my own life is that it's not worth it, man. Because next year, there's gonna be something else to worry about. The following year after that, there's gonna be some other health scare or problem. In years past, it was AIDS, it was anthrax, it was flesh-eating bacteria, fungi that were attacking us and things of that nature. And then, of course, I don't wanna say what's been going on in the last couple of years. And what ends up happening is, it seems like in my life, every year, there's something else to stress over and something else to worry about. And in my experience, 99% of all the things that I've ever stressed about never actually happen. I'm not sure how to explain how I did it. It was a process in my life, but there's a book that's called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. I'll put a link down below in the description if you want to look at that. That book helped me a lot, and it was very useful. So you can look at that if stress is a problem for you. So, Dr. Story, my blood pressure never seems to go down. What is the problem with that? Why is it a problem? Well, it's a problem because you're probably going to end up having a heart attack or stroke. This is the #1 killer in America. That's where I'm based out of. So I'm not in, if you're watching from another country, I don't know what's happening in your country, but in America, people are dying of heart attacks and strokes at record numbers, and one of the biggest risk factors is high blood pressure. So it is something that you want to get control over. How long can I live with uncontrolled hypertension? Well, that's a tough question because it really depends upon how bad the hypertension is, how high your numbers are. As a general rule, though, the higher your blood pressure, the sooner you're going to die, is essentially how it works. So you need to get your blood pressure under control. It's a good question, but there's no way to say if you have this number, you will be dead in 6 months or anything like that. There are studies that show with resistant hypertension that within a year, a great many percentage of those people, if it's not controlled, are going to have a heart attack or stroke. But how do you really measure that, What exercises should you avoid with resistant hypertension? That's a very good question. And that's one that is really controversial because every time I say this, there's always people in the comments that say I'm wrong, yet every research article I have ever read says it'd probably be smarter to just ramp it up easier. But so sudden things like heavy weightlifting, where you're holding your breath and you're lifting extreme weights. CrossFit would be one that if you have resistant hypertension, I can't see anyone who has resistant hypertension joining a CrossFit gym and doing that. But sudden bursts of aggressive exercise are just not a good idea. That's why HIIT training. Now, HIIT training has been shown to lower blood pressure, but these are people that are actually healthy to begin with for the majority of the studies. When it's resistant hypertension, don't forget, you are at death's door. This is not just a average hypertension story. This is resistant hypertension. Even the drugs aren't working on you, and the doctors are scratching their head trying to figure out what's going on. There's usually a reason why they recommend to not do aggressive exercise. And so, like I mentioned before, cardiovascular exercise that gradually builds up your heart rate and you maintain over time would be smart. There's a lot of questions on exercise. Let's see, let me look here. Is resistant hypertension genetic? That's a great question. The answer is, from what I've read in the literature, that there are some genetic markers that predispose us to hypertension. Resistant hypertension is one of those conditions where it's like the end stage of hypertension. So the question becomes, is it in your genes, like your hair color, like you're definitely going to get it no matter what you do? Or is it something that you have the genetic predisposition for it and the environment then pulls the trigger? And this is something that a lot of people just don't seem to care to hear most of the time, but a lot of people that have hypertension, it's our environment, it's our lifestyle, it's how we deal with stress, it's the exercise, it's the food we put in our bodies chronically over a period of time. There's very few people that have resistant hypertension that are 10 years old, and the reason why is because they just haven't lived on this earth long enough to eat enough crappy food to develop those problems. Now, there are some conditions where someone has, like I mentioned in the beginning, a hormonal problem that can give them resistant hypertension. So sure, a young person can have that. There could be a genetically malformed artery in our body that has stenosis, which is narrowing. It's just genetically smaller, and thus that increases blood pressure. But those are more rare cases. What we're talking about here is your lifestyle is so unhealthy, and you continue that lifestyle for decades and decades until 30, 40, 50 years later is when you develop the resistant hypertension. So there might be genetic markers that they can determine that you're more prone towards hypertension, but it's usually our lifestyle. Okay, last question. What is the level of blood pressure where you should call 911? That's a great question. The answer is 180 over 120 is kind of that number where you have to say to yourself, holy crap, what the heck is going on? This is an emergency situation. But it's not, you don't just wait until it's that number. If you're having symptoms such as you feel hot and sweaty for no apparent reason, you're out of breath, you're getting tingling down your left arm, there's a fullness or tingling into your jaw, you feel chest pressure, you feel a squeezing of your chest, inability to catch your breath, a feeling below your diaphragm where you feel like you have indigestion but it's nothing that you ate, maybe back pain in between the shoulder blades, a general feeling of unwellness, like a sense of doom. These are symptoms that even if your blood pressure is normal, that's when you should call 911. So thanks for asking all these questions on my other videos. I was trying to put together a video that consisted of mainly questions that were for resistant hypertension, and I hope this was beneficial for you. If you like my videos, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share this with others on social media because it just might save a life.